What if the person you treated as invisible suddenly held the power to change your life forever? Jeff Matthews, the CEO of SpinTech, was about to discover this the hard way. In a world where arrogance reigned supreme and suits ruled the halls, one unassuming cleaner was quietly watching. But she wasn't who they thought she was. This story of hidden identities, corporate betrayal, and poetic justice will keep you on the edge of your seat. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and prepare to be amazed. A new face at SpinTech. SpinTech was one of New York City's most successful tech firms. A hub of innovation where deals were made in glitzy skyscrapers, and employees moved with urgency. It was a company that prided itself on progress, but behind the sleek facade, something sinister festered. On a bustling Monday morning, Emily Dawson entered the building for her first day, so it seemed. Dressed in a cleaner's plain blue uniform, she appeared to be just another cog in the massive corporate machine. Her hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail, and her demeanor was quiet but observant. To the SpinTech staff, she was Emily the cleaner. But in reality, Emily Dawson was the mastermind behind the entire enterprise. Years earlier, she had built SpinTech from scratch, pouring her heart and soul into making it a leader in the tech industry. But recently, she had stepped back, leaving the day-to-day operations to her older brother, Paul Dawson, who served as acting CEO. This allowed Emily to return undercover and see how the company was being run without her presence influencing behavior. She wanted to see who was loyal, who was competent, and who had to go. But she wasn't prepared for the reality she was about to uncover. Meeting Jeff Matthews. It didn't take long for Emily to encounter SpinTech's biggest problem, Jeff Matthews. Jeff was the kind of executive who thought his title made him untouchable. Always impeccably dressed in tailored suits, he carried himself with an air of superiority that made his disdain for lower employees painfully clear. On her very first day, Emily was sweeping the hallway outside Jeff's office when his voice cut through the air like a whip. "Hey, you girl," he called out, pointing at the floor. "You missed a spot." Emily glanced at the area he indicated. It was spotless. Still, she nodded politely and resumed her work, determined to stay in character. But Jeff wasn't done. "You know," he added, stepping closer, "you should be grateful for a job like this. Some people don't even get to step inside a place like SpinTech. Don't screw it up." Emily's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure. This man had no idea he was talking to the owner of the company. Cracks in the system. Over the following weeks, Emily watched and listened. What she discovered left her both furious and heartbroken. The hard-working employees, the lifeblood of SpinTech, were doing their best. But they were overshadowed by a toxic culture perpetuated by the management. Jeff Matthews was at the center of it all. As CEO, Jeff wielded immense power, but he used it recklessly. He treated junior employees with disdain, barking orders without a second thought. His respect was reserved only for the board members, and even then, it was thinly veiled. Emily's undercover role gave her a unique perspective. She saw the way Jeff exploited his position, from inappropriate comments to outright intimidation. "You're too pretty to be a cleaner," he told her one day, leaning against a doorway with a smirk. "Play your cards right, and maybe he'll find you something better." Emily swallowed her anger. She wasn't just gathering evidence against Jeff, she was observing the entire management team. Miss Theobald, the head of marketing, had a habit of belittling the office staff, as though she were doing them a favor by allowing them to exist in her world. Meanwhile, Mr. Carter, the finance director, was quietly embezzling funds, using company money to fund his lavish lifestyle. But Jeff was the worst. His arrogance knew no bounds, and his behavior toward Emily escalated with each passing day. A threat to far. One evening, as Emily was leaving for the day, Jeff cornered her in the parking lot. "If you don't meet me in my office after hours," he said, his voice low and threatening, "I'll make sure you're out of a job by tomorrow morning. Believe me, no one else is going to hire a girl like you." Emily's heart raced. She had endured weeks of his harassment, but this was the final straw. It was time to reveal the truth, the big reveal. The next morning, Emily arrived at SpinTech, but this time, she wasn't dressed in her cleaner's uniform. Instead, she wore a crisp white blazer, tailored black pants, and elegant heels. Her hair was styled neatly, and her presence was commanding. The staff barely recognized her as she walked through the lobby. Murmurs of curiosity followed her as she made her way to the boardroom, where a special meeting had been called. Inside, the room was filled with SpinTech's top executives, including Jeff Matthews. When Emily entered, Jeff gave her a once-over and smirked. "Sweetheart, you're in the wrong place," he said, leaning back in his chair. "This is a board meeting." Emily didn't respond. She walked to the head of the table and stood beside her brother Paul. Paul cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce someone very important to SpinTech, Emily Dawson, the true owner and founder of this company." The room went silent. Jeff's smirk vanished as his face turned pale. "For the past few months," Emily began, her voice calm but firm, "I've been working undercover as a cleaner. I wanted to see how my company was being run without my title influencing your behavior. What I found was deeply troubling." She turned to Jeff, her gaze piercing. "Mr. Matthews, you have repeatedly harassed and intimidated employees. You've abused your position and failed to uphold the values of this company." Jeff stammered. "Miss Dawson, You didn't know who I was," Emily interrupted. "But that's no excuse for your behavior. How you treat the least powerful person in the room speaks volumes about your character." Paul stood beside her. "Effective immediately, Jeff Matthews. You're fired. And legal action will follow." Security arrived to escort Jeff out of the building. He didn't fight. He simply slumped in his chair, defeated. A fresh start. Emily didn't stop there. She addressed the rest of the management team. "To those of you who have acted with integrity, you have nothing to worry about," she said. "But to those who contributed to this toxic culture, there will be consequences." Several other executives were dismissed on the spot. The remaining team looked at Emily with a mix of fear and respect. "SpinTech will no longer tolerate arrogance, harassment, or corruption," Emily declared. "From this day forward, we rebuild with innovation, respect, and integrity at the core." A new era. Under Emily's leadership, SpinTech thrived. Employees who once ignored the quiet cleaner now admired her as a visionary leader. The toxic culture was replaced with one of collaboration and respect. Emily had reclaimed her rightful place, and the company she built was stronger than ever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incredible tales. See you next time.